Hello, friends. I'm Andrea Morris, and welcome to another edition of Spill the Wine, the podcast that by now you know is about wine. And today we are having a really cool experience because we're actually not at a winery, but we're with a winemaker who has a virtual winery. And we're going to talk all about that with Yvonne Irvine, who is the winemaker and owner of Maenad Wines, which I have to say has the coolest label on the planet.
Thank you.
Just saying. Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, Yvonne.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, I have to say, listeners, I met Yvonne a couple of weeks ago at an event for the Ontario Wine Society, and she was speaking on a panel about women in wine, and we got to sample your Chardonnay, and it was so good.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed it, and I thought, you know what? I have to taste the rest of your wines.
Yeah, I'm excited to get everything out there for you.
So let's talk about your journey in wine. First of all, this isn't you also have a job at a winery.
Yes, I have. This is Maenad Wine Co. is my personal project, but I am also a full-time assistant winemaker at Creekside Estate Winery, where I've been for 18 years now. So I've got a busy life.
You do. But how do you find the time then to do both?
Maenad Wine Co. is a pretty small project, and, I've done that intentionally so that it is something that I can still manage and something that doesn't take away from my full-time job. And I've just been able to sort of work around that schedule and just make it work, I guess. I don't know.
Do you envision that someday Maenad would be a bricks and mortar and you have your own store and everything?
I don't know, honestly. I think part of the reason that I did a virtual winery is that, I can't afford to build a winery or even buy a winery. That type of investment, you're looking at millions of dollars, and that's not something that I have. So for now, I'm happy with it being a virtual project and something that I can sort of have as my own on the side. And who knows what happens in life, but I would say at the moment, I don't have any plans of actually opening up a physical location of my own.
But I imagine doing it virtually like this, you're calling the shots, you're deciding what you want to make, you're deciding where you want to get the grapes from, and so you have total autonomy over the wines.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason of starting it, was to have a project that was entirely mine, where I had full control over everything. And I can make what I want. I can get super creative and experimental. And I think also having my hand in things like branding and marketing and sales and sort of all of the other aspects of the business that I normally wouldn't necessarily be involved in has also been, new set of skills being learned and new adventures. And I really enjoy, especially the branding and marketing side of things as well.
So where did you come up with the name Maenad?
It was technically my husband that came up with it. And we had decided that we were going to go ahead with this project and make these wines. But we were trying to figure out what we were going to call it. And I came home from work one day and he said, "Have you ever heard of the Maenads?" And at the time, I said no. And he said, "I'm not going to say anything else. Just look them up." And so I did. And the Maenads were the female followers of the Greek god of wine, Dionysus. And they were known for their wild behavior. They practiced ecstatic dance. They drank a lot of wine. They performed feats of strength in the forest. And as I'm reading all of these stories and the history on this, it was like reading something that was written about me. And I think both of us just couldn't get past the similarities and the connection with that vibe that we had to go forward with it as the name for our wines.
It's such a great name. And again, the labels, listeners, I'm taking pictures and putting them online. The labels are fantastic, and I would like to be one of the first people that has a T-shirt when you make them.
Yes, I need to work on that. I have designs ready to go. I just haven't done it yet.
You know what? Also, because you talked about it, it's a tattoo artist that did it, right?
Yeah.
You should have those stick-on tattoos.
Yes, that's also been part of my plans as well.
Great minds, Yvonne. Great minds.
Yeah, it was cool working with an artist for that because I feel like you get something a little bit more creative, maybe. And it, she wasn't used to designing wine labels or anything like that. She was creating her own art, and I basically gave her free rein to create what she wanted based on, a guidance of who the Maenads were and the vibe that I was kind of going for. But much of the creation, like the idea behind it and everything was all her.
It's really fantastic. They're so unique, but it really, just looking at the label, it just captures, I think, like the spirit of a Maenad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
It's fantastic. I'm like, then now we have to see like if the wine captures that spirit. But just before we start tasting your wines, I'm interested in like, because you're a virtual winemaker, do you suss out the vineyards that you want to use? And was there an issue with trying to find the right vineyards for the wines that you had in mind that you wanted to make?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been times when that's difficult because when you don't own vineyards, you have to find your grapes from somewhere else. And so I had an idea of what I was looking for. But the other problem is that I'm small, right? So I'm looking to purchase, say, a ton, max 2 tons of grapes, which for a grower is a pretty small amount. And in most cases, they're looking for you to contract, 8 to 10 tons of something on average. But I was able to find what I was looking for. I would say the most difficult year was 2022 because there was just an overall shortage everywhere. And so there wasn't a lot of extras to be had. But over the years, I've built up relationships. I have a really good relationship with the Grimsby Hillside Vineyard, and I work with them a fair bit now. And part of their business model is, it might not be what they prefer, but they're willing to sell me grapes in smaller quantities like that. And it makes it a lot easier for me.
What year did you start this project?
2020 was my first vintage. And I started with, what did I start with? I started with a Piquette and a Pet-Nat and an orange wine or skin fermented wine. I'm really passionate about that. And, part of what I'm making is using the Maenads as the muse, right? Like doing something super creative on my terms and thinking outside the box. And so I think at least some of what I've created is a little bit outside the norm of what's being done with wine.
So where do you do your production then? Obviously not here at your home.
No, I have to keep it legal. So basically the premise of a virtual winery is that you are operating under other people's licenses. So I work with Drink Collab, which is run out of the Maenad winery, and that's where all of my wine is sold and finished. But I do a lot of the initial production and fermentation and that sort of thing at Creekside. And there's steps that you need to do in order to sell it under another license, which, I make sure that happens. It's usually blending or aging, that sort of thing. But the initial production I do at Creekside just because, harvest is a busy time and I need it close. It's a lot easier if I can, spend 5 minutes doing a quick ferment check instead of driving across the peninsula to do it somewhere else. So
right. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to start with the Piquette, right?
Yes. Okay, so first of all, I would tell you it's not a wine.
Okay.
And I think you will enjoy it more if you mentally decide that it's not a wine.
Okay.
So Piquette...
does it have alcohol in it?
Yes. Piquette, I would call a wine beverage because it's still made essentially from wines, or it's made from the skins of grapes.
Okay.
So the process is basically as soon as the grapes are pressed, I take them and rehydrate them with some water. And I do add a little bit of sugar to make sure that I get to the alcohol level that I want, which in this case is 5.5%. I think the best way to describe it is that it's almost like making a tea. So I'm doing a really high concentration of skins to liquid, which makes it very difficult to punch down and mix throughout the fermentation. But that's the way that you get the most flavor out of it. And I would say, especially white grapes where we normally would just press them and then they, get composted or whatever. There's so much flavor compounds that are still in those skins. And I think this is a really interesting way to continue to use it. So some people think this reminds them more of a beer than a wine. I think it's still somewhere in between, but a lot of those flavors that you would get from Sauvignon Blanc come out in this as well. So it's very citrusy, I would say, lime zesty, and there is a slight herbaceousness to it as well. It's not sparkling, but it's got a light spritz to it.
Like a little effervescence?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like a sparkling water, but it's almost like, it's a little peachy to me.
Yes, I get that a lot too. This is my husband's, like, as soon as he's done cutting the lawn, this is his choice of beverage.
I was going to say this would be like a really good palate cleanser too. Like in between courses for meals, you'd be like, here, have a little bit of Piquette and cleanse your palate. And this is really fun. It's really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is my first Piquette.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was it was an ancient product that was made mostly by the peasants and the farm workers as sort of like a beverage that they could drink on their lunch break, basically, while still remaining cognitive enough to continue working in the fields in the afternoon.
This is really unique and really fun.
Yeah, thank you.
How did you come up with the idea to do that? Because I've never heard of anyone in this area making Piquette.
It was kind of a trend for a while. I don't think a ton of people were doing it, but it was starting to come out. And I just, it was one of those opportunities for me to play and to experiment and see what I could do. It was a little bit daunting just because, I didn't have a method or a recipe to follow. I kind of made that up as I went along based on what I thought would work. And thankfully it did. But I will say it is one of the hardest products that I make, which seems surprising, I guess. But because it's low alcohol, it's a wild ferment, part of what protects a wine throughout the process is alcohol, right? And this is only ever getting up to 5.5%. So it's a little bit riskier for sort of things to happen along the way that could move it in a not so great direction. So you really have to watch it. And I try to put it into bottle as soon as it's done so that you still maintain some of that spritziness and carbon dioxide because there's no preservatives in here at all. The only ingredients are water, sugar, grape skins, and that's it.
Wow.
So that CO2 that stays in there when I bottle it immediately after fermentation is also what is protecting it in its journey.
So the grape skins that you're using, are they from wines that you're making as well, or do you just...
Yeah, so the grape skins that I used for this, we had used at Creekside to make some of our Sauvignon Blanc. And it was a really good batch of grapes. So I took those skins and went with it. And this is the second vintage that I have done of this. And yeah, it's a really refreshing, fun style of beverage.
It's really interesting how the Sauvignon Blanc grapes give it, but it's Sauvignon Blanc grape skins, but it has that peach. It really has a peachy flavor to me.
Yeah.
That's really cool. This is a fun way to start. Virtually.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I really do. It's like I've never had anything like this, but I just find it it's really fun. Like I'd be like, I could drink this a lot.
Yeah.
And only 5%, so you don't feel bad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And is this still fermenting in the bottle then?
No.
No, okay.
No. I do wait for the sugar to basically be gone by the time I put it into bottle because it would be fine if it had a little bit of sparkling to it, but I was just looking for more of a spritz.
Now the Pet-Nats, they still ferment in the bottle.
Yes, okay. They do.
And
we're going to try those next.
So this is a Vidal Petnat.
Yes. So the base of this is made with Vidal. I chose Vidal because on its own, it's a fairly neutral grape, I would say. It has some nice tree fruit. I guess I don't find it overly complex. So it felt like something that I could work with in this way. So what I did is I co-fermented it with peaches and wild sumac that we literally got from the forest. And I found the combination of those two things worked really well. It's meant to be sort of a nuance within the wine, so it's not taking over the wine, but it is definitely a part of it. I think for sure the peaches you'll really notice. And this is sparkling, so it does finish ferment in the bottle.
Oh, that's really interesting. You can taste that sumac.
Yeah, the sumac for me anyways, it shows up kind of like a citrusy flavor, but also structure. I don't know if you can feel it, but it's not quite, but almost similar to tannins, where it's just a little grippy on the finish.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, these are great for the summer. And also, I like to tell people for like brunch wines, instead of a mimosa, you don't have to dilute it down. You still get all the good fruit flavors and maybe something a little bit more fun and interesting.
Yeah, it's really refreshing. Like especially on a hot day, they serve that chilled in a bucket on the patio, and like that would evaporate. I have a feeling.
Yes, it goes down quickly.
Do you find it challenging though, like doing your wine virtually, so it's only available like online, or if you go to Mary Nissen?
Yeah.
Right? How do you get people that often like, well, how do I taste it? Like, how do I know if I want it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more difficult having a virtual winery. Even like it's not on the shelves at Mary Nissen.
So you have to like ask for it?
Yes. And I think if you ask for it, they usually don't have a problem getting it for you. But I believe it's better if you order it ahead of time and pick it up there. And so, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to reach people because, people aren't necessarily coming by my wines by accident then. It's not like they ran past a winery and said, oh, let's stop in there and check this out. It's an intentional purchase. And I would say a lot of my sales are to bottle shops and restaurants, but my retail side is growing. But asking people to buy wine online is still difficult. I think, we buy all kinds of stuff online, but for some reason, wine makes people pause a little bit. And I think we're getting a little bit past that. But, if you go to the LCBO to get your wine, you're also not getting to taste it there either. You're taking a chance on, a bottle based on what you think you like and, the label and whatever else is you're using to discern whether or not you want to purchase something. So I think it's a way of purchasing wine that is going to grow, but it is still a little bit more difficult than a bricks and mortar winery for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine, because then you're dealing with all the shipping charges and all that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do try and make it reasonable. I think there's free shipping if you purchase 6 bottles or more, but I think it's even like a dollar amount now, like $150 or more is free shipping. And, even myself, because I tend to purchase wines for myself online a fair bit or even from agencies. And what I tend to do, if, that's the case, is just go in on a pack with a friend and say, I'm ordering from here. Is there anything you want? And then you can kind of split the cost.
Right. That makes sense. So people could do that with your wines.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you do like Grape and Wine Festival and things like that? Or
I'm not usually at those, but I do some festivals here and there. So the long weekend coming up, I will be at Spring into Spice, which to me is probably one of the most fun wine festivals ever. And I go every year, and I go mostly because it's so much fun to be there and to experience like the vibes. It's very Maenad vibes as far as I'm concerned.
The Bacchanalia kind of thing.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I was thinking when I was drinking this that it would be really good with like jerk chicken or with some spicy Thai food.
Yes.
I'm like very much in love with this particular Pet-Nat. I'm excited to try the next one now because that one has even different flavors. How did you come up with that? Did you experiment with a bunch of different things, or did you just you had that in mind when you were going to make a Pet-Nat that you wanted to do it with sumac and peaches?
No, that was an off the cuff harvest decision, and I feel like I'm a good cook, or at least I think I am. And so I once I decided that I was going to go ahead with this, I was like, okay, what flavors are going to work together? Let's try this. And you can kind of like taste it as it's going along because I'm still trying, this was the first time I did it, but I've made ciders with fruit and different herbs and stuff like that. So I thought, why can't you do that with a wine and make something fun with that as well?
Yeah.
And yeah, so far, knock on wood, my experiments have worked out well.
Well, we're 2 for 2 here, Yvonne. So, let's keep it going.
No pressure or anything.
Now, this one is a more pinky color.
Yes. So this is the same, the base is Vidal.
When I hear Vidal, I always think of ice wine because so much ice wine is made with Vidal.
Yes. And it's not, it is used here and there for table wines or for sparkling wines, I've seen it, even orange wines. But but it's still not, it's mostly used for ice wine, I would say. Yeah.
Why is that? Is it because it doesn't have like the depth of like a Chardonnay or something? Or is it just that it's just like...
I don't know. And to be honest, I think that could change just in that hybrid grapes, I think, are making a bit of a comeback, which is cool. I personally, I haven't had a ton of experience making Vidal on its own, but I find it to be fairly neutral and like you can make a great wine with it and a fun wine. I just haven't found it to be overly complex.
So this one has Concord grapes and tarragon.
Yes. And I don't know what it is, but I also get a real floral scent with this. It reminds me of like Lily of the Valley or something. And I'm quite honestly not sure where that comes from, if it's, you know, the Concords or the tarragon or what.
It almost has a little bit of a floral taste to it too. It's like in a very delicate way on the back of my tongue.
Yeah, I didn't want it to take over too much. Like I said, I'm trying to ferment with these fruits and botanicals as to add a nuance to the wine as opposed to taking it over.
Yeah.
And just create complexity in the overall taste of everything.
I really like what you're thinking about here because it's so unique. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like, you know, like I think of like, I look at the label and I just think that, yeah, I could dance around the yard with this. And
yes.
Let's dance and drink some, you know, some Pet-Nat and have a great time.
Yeah.
This is really unique. And kudos to you for doing something that's so cool and different.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like that.
It's really fun to, I don't know, just kind of think outside the box and do something creative. This brand, I think it makes it really fun because I feel like I can push the boundaries a little bit with what I'm doing and I can take it a step further than a more traditional type of winery. Like it just opens things up a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's like, I'm really glad that we're speaking today because it's really fun to talk about something that's different and to give your winery a voice to people that don't know you exist. Yes,
because I mean, it is small, so I think a lot of people still haven't heard of us. And like I said, it's my passion project. It's a small project. And, you know, I've always aimed for slow growth, just being realistic in how much time I have, you know, on top of a full-time job I can't be out there at every festival, every event, and, you know, getting out there to restaurants on my own to try and sell this. So I've basically aimed for slow and steady growth over the years, and that's, you know, what we've got, which is great.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
I hope.
Have you thought about like Crush Studios? Have you tried to get into there?
I did talk to them at one point, and you know, I think what they're doing is great as well. And I would say maybe the upside to that is that they do have a retail store that you can go in and taste those wines, and it's on a shelf. It is like a bit of a different setup, and for what I was trying to do, it was going to work better working with Drink Collab for this. Yeah. But I love that there's multiple options out there for people to do a virtual winery, and that, you know, them succeeding is virtual wineries succeeding, and getting the voice out there that these projects and these special small brands exist, right?
They should do like, you know, what would be really cool to have like a virtual wine festival. Mm-hmm. You know, and just have all these people that do their one-offs or their small brands and get together and be like, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it'd be great.
But with these Pet-Nats with have like the like a bottle cap top, is shipping difficult with that? Because
no, it would just be like similar to shipping a sparkling wine or yeah, they're totally fine.
I really like this. I really like the first one with the peach, but this one is just so different.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really drawn to this because I've never had anything that tasted like this ever before in my life.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not sure that I have either.
Yeah, I mean, and I like applaud your creativity. I think it's really cool to be drinking something that it's the first time we've had something like this on the podcast. And I think it's really, really cool to be able to give you that voice to talk about it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, like I'm excited for what's next.
Yeah.
How much, just as an FYI, what did those retail? What do you sell those for?
The Pet-Nats are $28.95 and the Piquette is $14.95. You know, I tried to price it so that it's more in the wine beverage world of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you know what? $28.95 for that bottle is really reasonable.
I think so. Thank you.
I would highly suggest listener to explore this because it's really fun. If you want to try something unique, here's a question for you. Say someone is coming out here for a wine tour and they wanted to taste your product. Is there a way they can do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to me either by email or on like Instagram, social media, and I'm always happy to try and arrange a tasting with people that are interested. I mean, obviously, it just depends if I'm available or not, but if I am, I'm more than happy to meet with people and do a tasting and that sort of thing. Good,
because I wanted to put that out there because I know that people do listen to the podcast and come out and do tastings. So it could happen. You could taste it.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. I would try to do that.
Yeah.
So Drink Collab does do a number of pop-ups throughout the year at Maenad. So if you follow Maenad Wines, especially on Instagram and Drink Collab, we are, I'd say, especially in the summer, usually doing a pop-up like once a month for that reason, so that people have the opportunity to come out. And there's a lot of other great brands that are part of Drink Collab as well. And I think that alone, when you're doing shopping online, having that option to order from them, because you don't have to just order Maenad, which I mean, of course, I'd be happy if you did, but you can put a mixed case together. So there's a variety of different products. We're all doing different things. And so you can purchase, a bottle of this and then something from another brand and kind of mix it up and find all kinds of interesting things.
Yeah, I met the folks from Divergence at Cuvée, and they do the same thing that you do via Maenad. So
yeah, Jeff is making some really excellent wines too.
Yeah, he's going to be on the podcast in the future as well. So
awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about Chardonnay.
Yes, Chardonnay is it's like my baby. I never want to pick a favorite grape, but like it might be my favorite grape. And it's interesting because part of what I wanted to do with my portfolio was to make not necessarily the same wines every year. And it makes it more creative where I'm not stuck saying, we make Pinot and Chardonnay and this. Like for me, I wanted it to be like, hey, this year I found some really cool Cabernet Franc or Vignoier. But Chardonnay, I feel like, is one that I'm attempting to keep as like a regular occurrence in my portfolio because I love working with it so much.
Your baby.
Yes.
Well, then the cool thing about Chardonnay is you can make it so many different ways.
Yes, that's why I love it. I would say it's the winemaker's grape. Obviously, the first thing that's going to influence it is terroir. But with respectful winemaking, you can still make decisions along the way to shape it into the style that you want, if you will. So this first one is from the Grimsby Hillside Vineyard. This is from one of their younger blocks. They have a few different blocks of Chardonnay. This is from 2021. It was handpicked, whole bunch pressed, and then fermented in French oak barrels and aged for about 12 months. Wild ferment, and then I added some sulfates for preserving just at the very end, right before bottling. So I think, to me, it's classic Grimsby Hillside. There's just something so distinctive about that vineyard.
It's got a really citrusy nose to it.
Yeah, it's a very fruit-forward expression of Chardonnay that naturally just comes from that vineyard. I think they're so much fun, and it really plays into the vibe that not everything about wine has to be super serious. And
but literally those are great. I love those.
Thank you. I really enjoy a richer style of Chardonnay, which is where I was going with this. And with my other winemaking experience and Creekside and previously Queenston Mile, I was used to working with fruit from the St. David's Bench, which naturally makes a very full-bodied, richer style of wine. And, I did similar techniques because I have, an idea of how I like to make Chardonnay, but I got a completely different expression of it from this vineyard, which is cool because that means the vineyard is still shining through. It's both, it has some richness to it and some bigger body to it, but there's still this real freshness that comes through that is so complimentary of that vineyard.
It's like drinking pie.
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing.
No.
And this is 2021?
Yes, this is 2021.
Which is really cool because that was such a weird year for grapes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, so even with this, I went to look at the fruit because the vineyard manager called me and said, we're just starting to see some rot come in. And 2021 was a difficult vintage because we were just getting so much rain. And it was really hard to control in the vineyard. Rot was a huge issue. And so, everyone was on the lookout for it. And literally I got there the same day, looked at it, and it was still really, really clean. But it was just that year that's like, you're not going to take any chances. There was rain coming. And it was like, okay, let's pick it tomorrow. Yeah. And brought it in right away. And so there's still some great wines that came out of 2021. Especially, I would say, earlier in the vintage as opposed to later. But it took a lot of scrambly winemaking of deciding to pick things that day or the next day. It wasn't like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll plan something in a few days. It was like, no, you got to go now.
Yeah, it's like those grapes that you can pick early were fine.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've still had some wines, from Cabs and Syrahs from other wineries that are quite beautiful, but it was difficult, I would say.
Yeah, I remember that year. But the Pinot Noirs were great.
Yeah, beautiful Pinots, beautiful Chardonnays.
Yeah.
Lots of great wines, just a very difficult year.
Yeah.
I might still have like PTSD from that year. I don't know.
Well, that is a beautiful Chardonnay. Grimsby Hillside is a really beautiful vineyard.
It is. They're doing some really quality viticulture there. And a lot of their growing now is organic growing. They're very sustainable. They care a lot about what they're doing in the vineyard there.
So I noticed that like most of your wines are screw top. Is there a screw top or cork? Is there like a?
I have done screw cap for all of my wines, and I think it's a great closure. I know like some people prefer cork, and I get it. There's a certain like romantic side to a cork or traditional side to cork, but I do find that screw caps have worked really well for my wines, and they're a good closure to use. And the liner that's inside, like you can still control how much oxygen goes into your wines based on the type of liner that you use. So there is still some oxygen transfer that happens. It's not like you're putting it into a capsule where it's going to stay the same forever, right? So it's worked out really well for me.
This is a really interesting color for a Chardonnay. It's almost orange.
Yes. So this is an orange wine, basically called orange wine for that reason. There's no oranges in this wine. But it is a Chardonnay that is fermented on its skins. So it's basically made the same way that you would make a red wine. And I really I love orange wines, and I really wanted to do it with Chardonnay because it is that type of grape that you can really play around with texture. And that's one of my most favorite things about a wine, I think. So being able to do a ferment on the skins, I let it go through malolactic fermentation, which is basically just softening the acids in the wine. I did a little bit of lees stirring, which is just the yeast that sits at the bottom of the barrel. And I did barrel age this for 7 months as well in some older French oak. And I find for what I'm trying to make, I think it's important to age it before it goes to bottle. It has a chance for the wine to kind of like shake itself out and find itself before, you finalize its life in a bottle, I guess.
It's really very light. And if you looked at that and said that it's a skin fermented Chardonnay, you wouldn't necessarily think it doesn't taste much like a Chardonnay.
It's going to give a bit of a different expression than certainly, the last one. With orange wines, I tend to get kind of like this marmalade and tea component that comes out a lot. But it's still, where it feels like Chardonnay to me is that there's a bit of nuttiness to it. There's still some really nice fruit in there. And I love the play between the structure with the tannins, but the richness and the buttery side of Chardonnay as well.
This would be really nice with pork.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like pork on the grill, and that would complement that so beautifully.
Yeah, it's excellent with proteins because you kind of balance out that tannin. And also foods that have a little bit, I'd say like fat to them, like fried chicken or duck confit or
even duck. Because duck is so fatty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like those types of foods, or even just a charcuterie plate. I think orange wines are a perfect pairing for that situation.
That's a really cool idea. I've never had an orange wine with a charcuterie plate, but you know what? Maybe next time.
It's a great pairing. And kind of a nice, fun way. Like if you're having people over for dinner or something, it's a nice start to the evening, you know?
Yeah, they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a wide variety. I did a Skin Fermented Muscat in previous years. It's sold out now, but that was a really cool wine because Muscat has so much like flavor compounds in the skins. It's very aromatic, and that was a really cool wine. There's endless sort of varieties and ways to look at doing an orange wine.
You've got some great ideas here, Yvonne.
Thank you.
And I like that you're so out of the box compared to like what most everyone else is doing.
Part of this is like me making what I love. And yeah, I mean, winemaking is, I would say, equal parts science and art. And I'm one of those people that I genuinely use both sides of my brain. So I think that's why winemaking worked out for me. But I love the creative side of things. Like winemaking to me, it is kind of like creating your own art that you're putting out to the world and wanting to express yourself in that way.
Yeah, and it's like we've talked to so many winemakers on the podcast so far, and it's been so much fun to like hear their passion and their like just when winemakers get going about what they think about the grapes and what they're feeling and how it is and what they feel a wine's going to be and what a wine ends up as. It's just like, I think it's so much fun.
Yes, and winemaking is constant learning. Like you never know it all. You're always evolving. You're always learning something new. And I would say vintages in Ontario, there's no two that are the same. So every year you've sort of got a different challenge or a different scenario that you're dealing with.
Well, even if you're using the same vineyard, it all depends on the weather from year to year.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's so many other factors that come into play. So it's like, I think it was when we did an episode with Cloudsley, Adam said that every bottle is a stamp in time.
Yeah, it really is. And you kind of like taste it and sometimes you can just remember and think, oh yeah, it was this kind of summer or this kind of fall, and you remember the rain, you remember the temperature in the winter before, like there's so many things that get etched into your brain.
Is there a wine that you haven't made yet that you're like really interested in making?
I mean, between like working like with Maenad as well as Creekside, I feel like I've made a lot of different varieties and worked with a lot of different grapes. I don't know if there's anything specific. I think I'd like to do more with Pinot Noir going forward and Gamay. That's probably that's what I've been drinking a lot of in the last year or two. So maybe that's why. But I haven't done like as much work with those grapes. I've worked with them regularly, certainly Pinot Noir, but I just feel like there's a lot more to learn and work with that grape.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So you do have reds that you have though, right?
So I just sold out of the Cabernet Franc that I released, but I brought 2 barrel samples for you to taste if you want.
I love that.
I have 2 wines that I'm working on getting to bottle soon. So you kind of get like
we get a little sneak peek. Perfect. I'm looking forward to that.
So this first one is a Vignoier.
I love Vignoier.
Me too. So this is from 2024, Grimsby Hillside Vineyard.
I was just going to ask. I was just going to ask, and it's like, I didn't even have to. Grimsby Hillside, shout out.
So I've worked with Vignoier quite a bit.
It's such an aromatic grape.
Yes, beautifully aromatic, but also it's a textural wine for me. There's a bit of like an oiliness to it and a softer acid, just a different expression of a white wine. This was fermented in an acacia wood barrel.
I was going to say, I could taste the different.
Yeah, so it's been really interesting working with that type of wood because it doesn't give flavor the same way an oak barrel does. I'd say it almost adds more of a structure, and it tends to lift up the fruit a little bit more, which is perfect for Vignoier. And I just thought it worked really well with that.
Because you can taste that floralness.
Yes.
That's in the Vignoier.
I find it to be like really peachy and a little bit of apricot.
Yes, I was going to say
Those
apricot.
types of flavors.
Yeah, but still there's a little floralness to this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Like violets and honeysuckle.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with how this turned out. And, Vignoier it's a late ripening white, and you have to let it go way past what you would think would be normal for a pick time with that grape for it to be ready. But that's how you get the texture. That's how you get such great aromatics and fruit. And yeah.
This is a really nice wine.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really interesting Vignoier. I've never had one that I could taste this much fruit in, which I really like.
Thank you.
Well done, Yvonne.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just got the label order in, so I'm working on getting that into bottle now.
Yay. So by the time this podcast airs, it'll be in bottle and people can order it.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Fingers crossed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got one red we're gonna try.
Yes. So this is a Cabernet Franc.
Do you find reds more challenging than whites, or do you?
No, not necessarily. There's maybe more decisions, I guess, in red winemaking because you're dealing with the skins. But I mean, I'm making orange Chardonnay as well. So.
Well, this had a beautiful nose on it.
Thank you. This was wild fermented. It was harvested, I think, the beginning of November, and it was quite cold when it came in. And all of my ferments are wild ferments, in that I just sort of let whatever comes in on the grapes or what's in the air be what ferments my wine. But it's really difficult when it comes in at 10 degrees Celsius because things don't tend to want to ferment at that temperature. So it took a long time for it to warm up. So I would say it got an extended cold soak before fermentation happened. But I also think that contributes to how sort of deep and dark this wine is.
It's really deep and dark.
And that's been in barrel for about 18 months now. Wow. I have 4 oak barrels. One of them is new. And yeah, basically it's been sitting there hanging out and aging. And the previous Cab Franc that I had from 2022 sold out really quickly. And
this looks and tastes phenomenal. And that cherry flavor just keeps coming through when you taste it. It's so good.
Yeah, there's lots of, I'd say, more black fruit on the palate. It's still a big wine. This is a wine that you can stick in your cellar and age for a while.
It looks like a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah, it's quite dark.
Yeah, but it's a Cab Franc.
Yeah, I mean, Cab Francs can still get fairly dark. And I think most people tend to be more familiar with Cabernet Sauvignon, but Cabernet Franc to me is just it's so interesting, and it in particular does really well in Niagara. And I think it's starting to become a grape that people are paying attention to when it comes to Ontario wines.
Which I don't understand why people have so many issues about.
A long time ago, there was some Cabernet Francs that were made that weren't maybe properly ripe, or maybe they were overcropped. And if Cabernet is not properly ripe, then you start getting a lot of green pepper notes and that more savory side of things. And I like when there's a little bit of those notes in there because I feel like it's also distinctive of the grape.
And sometimes it's really peppery.
Yeah, and if it just takes over too much, I think people didn't really enjoy that. But in the last decade or longer, we're making beautiful Cabernet Francs from Niagara, and with really deep focused fruit. And I like that it has that savory side to it as well.
This is honestly one of the deepest colored Cab Francs I've ever had. And what is this? Which vineyard is this from?
This is from Grimsby Hillside as well.
Color me surprised.
Right? They have a few different blocks of Cabernet Franc at that vineyard as well. So this is from a younger block of vines. I've been really impressed with the fruit that I've gotten from them. And if you could see it at harvest, it's perfection.
Is it a whole cluster or?
No. So most of it was crushed, but I did put in a little bit of whole cluster, not very much. But it was the stems were really ripe, and so it felt like a good year to put a little bit in, but I didn't do a ton, just some.
That's really good, really, really good.
Thank you.
When are you going to bottle that?
Hopefully in the next month or two.
Okay, so maybe by the time this podcast airs, it'll maybe fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You just have so many cool wines.
Thank you.
Like, I'm really, really, really glad that we had a chance to sit down and chat with you today, because I think what you're doing is unique, and it's so innovative.
Thank you.
And I love that it's like, and I love like the labels. I love everything about what you're doing. I'm so excited to see you grow and progress.
Thanks so much. It was great to share these with you. And yeah, I mean, this is my passion. I love what I do, and I love being creative when it comes to winemaking. So this is a great project for me to be working on.
Yeah, and we'll put your website info on our show notes, and so people can reach out to you and contact you via there to either arrange a tasting or order wines, which I would highly recommend because they're absolutely fantastic. So, listeners, be sure to visit the show notes, because you will get to see some photographs of the wines. You'll get to see even like some of the wine. I took some photos of the wines in the glasses so that you could see what the colors are like, because they're really unique and really, really beautiful, particularly those Pet-Nats. Those are like definitely going to be my summertime wine. I'm just telling you right now. So also, while you're looking at Maenad, don't forget to also like and follow Spill the Wine, because, that's where you're hearing about this. On Facebook, we're Spill the Wine Podcast. On Instagram, it's Spill the Wine _podcast. And we also have a website, which we're very excited about, spillthewine.ca. And you can send us emails there at contact@spillthewine.ca, or you can use our old email, which is spillthewine@gmail.com. But try to use the one from the website. I just give you options because sometimes people don't like to be told one thing. We would love to hear your recommendations for wineries that we should go to. We'd love to hear any feedback. We'd love it if you told your friends, told your family, told your enemies, told everyone you know to listen to Spill the Wine, because the more that we grow, the more the wineries grow. And that's the most important thing, to give people like you, Yvonne, a chance to actually continue to grow so that we can come back and do another episode with more of your wines.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yes. So now we'd like to just say cheers. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.